Hey, hey, hey. It's Wellness Wednesday, fondly called Weirding Wednesday. And I feel like I skipped a day and totally not have my crap together. I missed our Truthful Tuesday with Cara Gubbins yesterday, being a holiday here, and also Beltane. So I was deep in meditation under the full moon, asking what wanted to come through me. And while I just wait for you to all come in here, I got a message today because I was going into a bit of doubt when we look at true belonging. For me, it really is that place where courage starts showing up and lets me be seen in a different way, where what happens when we're being present and authentic and imperfect in ourselves to the world, and just saying, hey, you know what? I screwed up. Say hi if you're joining this, because I have a message, some medicine from Lizard today, which was really interesting because we start the 28 days, 28 minutes of true belonging, a journey into really looking at where you own yourself, where you're owning your truth and you're standing in your power. And looking at a place of, not knowing what you know. It's okay to not know what you don't know. And it's all about coming home to the heart. For me, this is the energy that's really calling in as we sort of enter into May and the change of seasons. For you in the north, spring is there, and it's time for you to tend to those seedlings, those desires and dreams that you held during the winter months of rest and contraction. And now you're kind of pushing your way above the surface, where we in the south are really going into colder months. It's amazing. The sun is setting earlier and there's a coldness, there's a chill in the air, asking us and inviting us to go down deep into the roots. So if you can sort of relate to beating yourself up like I have been. Hi, Dawn. Finally caught me. Yay. Just a short one today because I've kind of lost a day with Beltane and being deep in meditation and the invitation to look at what wants to come through in the next 28-day journey as we sort of head into my birthday month. To just look at, living in a world where every single one of us is wanting more compassion, is wanting more connection. And how do we get to that place of finding joy in the darkness? We're wanting to look at how do we become more non-judgmental, and how do we move into a place of unconditional loving in our right relationship, not just with ourselves, but with the world. And because I believe that it's our time, I always say that, and it sounds a little cliche, but there's never been a better time as the ancestors of future generations that haven't been born yet, for our daughters, for our granddaughters, for our nieces, to really invite ourselves into this place so that they at least have a shot at loving themselves. It really begins with us. And I love Pema Chodron, and she says compassion or compassionate action has to start with ourselves. And I totally concur. If we're willing to stand fully in our own belonging and never give up ourselves, then we really are in a space where we can put ourselves together, unravel, unbecome, and really step into that space that our soul's always known. We don't give up. We don't quit. We're here to be the light for the darkness. And unfortunately, we know that we live in a culture that has up until this point taught women to not feel, so that they can't heal, that they always feel like there's something missing. We're taught to ignore our feelings and to give up our own desires and needs, in the sense of proving that we're good enough, that we have to be good by being somebody else's version of a superhero. And I'm here to stand for us, for women who know who they are, that might have been labeled as bitches or selfish or weak. And none of that's true, right? And this is what I think we're all here to do, is to be that light for that part of us that still feels unworthy. And if you're wondering, if you are deserving of love, remember deserve comes from the Latin of service. So if you can't be in service to yourself and own and claim your sovereignty, we can't change that for others. I had a conversation with somebody today who was feeling very despondent because she wasn't getting the come back. And I just reminded her of my mantra for this year, which is nothing to hide, nothing to prove. I think we're really here to know that we are of service to our own sovereignty, to loving ourselves enough, and to know that we do belong, that our voices and our missions matter, and that we have to keep going regardless of our own human fragility, where we think, we're broken birds that can't be fixed. And to really know that the suffering is optional. You're not alone. There's nothing wrong with you. That lie of enoughness, it isn't personal, and yet I know that it still comes up for me. It's a cultural issue that's been passed down generation upon generation. And we all unknowingly drank the Kool-Aid and lost ourselves in the process. We forgot who we are, and we have waged war with one another, and also came into that space, that really heavy energy of competing for the thinnest, the richest, the most popular, the most likes, and that we've lost touch with our own divine wholeness, or what I call a separation sickness. And it's time that we heal those wounds within ourselves, and we heal the wounds that women who came before us passed on to us. Most importantly, I think that we heal them in the women who will come after us. Remember that we are the ancestors of future generations. So I want to stand for all of you who are highly sensitive, compassionate, intuitive women, to blaze this trail of radical self-acceptance, that we will leave behind a legacy that we can be proud of together. It's so much more joyful and so much more in belonging to do it together rather than apart. We can go so much further together, right, than we can apart. And that's a legacy that I want, where unconditional love and compassion, which will also have a lot of charge on them, are really that basic foundation of trust, trusting that we're enough, trusting that your daughters, your nieces, and your cherished loved ones will build this as their standard operating procedure because you've cleared it for them. We all have a longing to belong. And when we are pursued at that sort of egoic level, often through our own good personhood projects, there may be a temporary satisfaction, but our sense of separation is ultimately reinforced. And in contrast, bringing mindfulness and compassion to whatever is arising, it does dissolve that sense of separation and reveal the real basic intrinsic goodness of our own loving presence, to love whatever arises. And I was reminded of that today when I was sort of going, is the timing right for putting out 20 days of true belonging? Every birthday month, I offer something up in a container that speaks to my soul in celebration of the fact that I'm still alive. To tell my story and to really move toward what motivates me and matters around what I really care about, and share that with you. Because belonging is that innate human desire to be part of something that's larger than us. I need to know that the mission that I hold in my own business of living is bigger than me, so that I get up in the morning for those days when I can't get up for myself. And, this yearning is so primal that we often try to acquire it by trying to fit in and seek approval and look for outside validation, rather than nothing to hide or nothing to prove. It's the hollow bone we talk about in the shamanic journey of the spiral path. And there's a lot of barriers there, because I just know that true belonging for me only happens when I'm present in my authenticity, in my imperfection, out there in the world, and that my sense of belonging can never be greater than my level of self-acceptance. So we have to do the inner work. We have to look into the shadows, and that's really my intention with the next 28-day journey work together, is to come together as women who are brave enough to take that on. It takes a lot of courage. It takes a lot of standing in our truth to gather the parts and pieces of us that we've lost all over the place in this lifetime and the other. And we're all figuring it out. I'm here like you, figuring it out, and practicing this daily, not to be perfect, but to just show up. So if you're one of those women and you're ready to walk with your soul sisters, your love warriors, because you're ready to change your story and stop getting stuck in the past, or you're afraid that you're not going to heal alone, we heal together. And I want you to remember that, because I have very, very slowly come to belong to myself. And there's still some parts that I need to gather, right? I've had soul loss. I've had trauma just like you, but I'm learning in the daily practice, in the training, how to love and care for myself more and more because of you, to practice self-compassion, to be my own best friend, and to respect and honor myself wherever I land, to love whatever arises, even though I'm kicking and screaming. So if you can relate, let me know, because, it takes time to find your own healthy boundaries, to start living in integrity and honor with yourself. You have to know what your core desires are, what your feelings are about the world and where you fit. And I'm still learning to believe in myself, to trust that I am enough, that what I have to share matters. And this is how we really learn to belong to ourselves. And I've experienced both feeling deeply a part of something and also being very alone, the lone wolf, the dark horse that is behind me, is a reminder of my medicine, that there are times when you have to lead your own way. And sometimes how you have to learn to take rest in the herd. This is the message and the lesson from horses, that we need each other in order to be the best version of ourselves and to brave the wilderness. And I've started to experience this true belonging, which is why I wanted to share it with you, because this has been one of the greatest gifts of the compassionate self-awareness path, of secure attachment, of growing my child parts up. And it's a path that I feel eternally grateful to be on. So again, I just wanted to nudge, give you a little nudge if you're sort of been sitting on the fence as far as joining me for 28 minutes for 28 days, starting tomorrow, really to step into your medicine and look at, how do you feel joy in the dark times? What do you want that you already have? Being able to go into active appreciation for the money and the joy and the connections you do have, and stop being addicted to longing to be somewhere that you're not. This is the practice of presence. And I don't know if you can see that. I drew lizard card today when I was really sort of backtracking and going back into this need to get it right, this need to get it all perfect, instead of just allowing the adventure and the joy of being present, to not plan things in advance. Some people call that erratic. Some people call that a little woo or a little out of control. And it's probably one of the most beautiful things I've ever given to myself is to stay in the truth of what if. And this is what lizard medicine was. So if you've been wondering how lizard is showing up in your life today, know that lizard really is the medicine of shadow. It's where the dreams live. And in dreaming into the future, that's where lizard lives. There's a beautiful story around a meeting of the snake and the lizard and the snake is poo-pooing the lizard because he just looks like he's just sunning himself and absorbing the rays from the sun through the rock that he's sitting on. And to the snake, it looks like he's doing nothing. And the lizard says to him, "But snake, I am dreaming into the future, a dream where you don't eat me, where you don't see me as a lovely dinner, and that I know that you're full of mouse," right? So lizard using his intuition through dream state to dream into reality a brilliant future. So it was beautiful to receive lizard today. I have 7 cats in my house and little baby lizards that come and visit me. And I had one on my desk today, which one of the cats must have brought in. And he was still alive. He wasn't living in the story of, oh my gosh, I could have died. He was dreaming into the future that the cats could see his medicine and not eat him. So, it really reminds us to see the gift in the shadow, to look at the reality that we're weaving into the future. We've just come through Beltane and this beautiful full moon in Taurus, which is really about housekeeping. And if you're going into spring or winter, it doesn't matter what season you're in, it's really about looking at what is the season that you are dreaming into being. Are you in a space of going deep down into the roots and waiting? So practicing patience, which is one of my lessons that I'm constantly learning. Or are you in the sprouting season where the seeds that you planted in winter are now pushing their way above the surface and it's time to tend your garden? So, lizard really is saying push pause before you decide to manifest the dreams into physical reality. Really look at the alignment and the congruence of, is this an energetic match for how you want your future to look? This is the power of manifestation, and also the law of sufficiency that comes into play with lizard medicine. It's knowing you're not fragile. It might look like you're resting, but you're actually regenerating and healing in those times of stillness or where you're pushing pause on the world. So take today to really look at how you're dreaming your future into reality. Are there still residual fears that you need to look at in the Chiron energy that we're moving through? Are you trying to catch up with you, or is part of you wanting to ignore or resist or refute or bury your head in the sand, which lizards do, to escape prey? They often bury themselves underneath the sand. Crabs do that as well. But for the sake of today's medicine of lizard, really look at the part of you that wants to, perhaps ignore the softer side, the vulnerability of true belonging. Where you're judging yourself as weak, or you're forgetting the fragility of your humanity. Your human kindness actually comes from the resilience of adaptability. Think about lizard. When a cat like mine pounces, his defense is to drop his tail and get away. So the tail often afterwards is still moving around to keep the predator's attention on the tail while he runs away. There's gifts in the shadow. So be willing to look at the gifts of where you are in your present moment now and how you want to future into a brilliant, blissful place of more ease and more flow and more grace. So pay attention to your dreams and the symbology of the medicine that's coming through for you today. Let me know if lizard resonates with you today. And just remember to trust what you hold in you showing up every day has purpose and meaning. Look at what matters to you. People that come into my containers and they're not quite sure what it is that they're going to get out of it, which is a very human thing of looking at what do I have to lose, or we always sort of go to the negative of that. Think about lizard, where he revitalizes and keeps himself alive through his adaptability in his survival instinct to drop his tail. People often say to me they never imagined what they'd walk away with after being in one of my containers, that there's certain pieces and so much healing that goes far beyond what they signed up for, because they were open to it. This is the beautiful part about trust, is that when you can let go of the controls, like that lizard lets go of his tail, he doesn't go into victim mode of, oh my gosh, I have to grow a new tail now. He goes into the appreciation of presence, that his primal makeup has kept him safe to live another day. So I hope you join me, and I hope this resonates with you. I'm not seeing any comments here, but just know, it's just like, what do you want that you have already? And where could you look at having more joy and more expansion than you could ever imagine possible by joining me in 28 days of active appreciation and ritual and mantra? We're going to look at Kali Yuga. We're going to do meditations. We're going to really just dance and grow through this month together. So I hope you join me, and I hope you enjoyed Medicine from Lizard today. So wherever you are, be weird, which is, of course, in true definition, this of spirit, fate, and destiny. And really actively appreciating that lizard walked across my path today. And I hope that you allow yourself to really, truly receive that you're not separate. You're so loved. You're so protected. I see you. I honor you. And your work matters in the world. And I'd love for you to share that with me. And join me on the next 28 days. All right, that's it for me. I hope to see you inside the portal, inside the container of true belonging tomorrow. Lots of love. Bye. Mwah.